thank you very much for that introduction. I feel very, very privileged to be here and to be a part of this user meeting. I have to tell you, I spent 20 years at PHMSA. If you don't know PHMSA, that's the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. They're the federal regulator over underground natural gas and hazardous liquid pipelines and a variety of appurtenances. And there, I was not a real regulator. I was, I was a regulator. I wasn't an inspector. And what I did do was focus on a lot of the softer side of pipeline safety, not just the operations, but on damage prevention, public awareness, emergency responder communication and outreach and the like. And through all that experience, I was able to really gain a strong understanding of the damage prevention process, including stakeholder perspectives, where people stand, what their issues are, and how we might find common solutions to solving the problems that we face. I am not a user of Earth software. In fact, that's one big area of weakness for me. And so this has been, the proceedings so far this morning have been really awesome because I've had a chance to really take a look at some of the work processes and the workflows that you use on a daily basis. So I'm thrilled to do that, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Real quick, who knows CGA? That's almost everybody, right? I see a couple of hands that didn't go up, so I'm not gonna waste a lot of time here, but this is our mission. We're the underground damage prevention folks. We're a nonprofit organization who focuses on protecting underground infrastructure from excavation damage. And we share a variety of common values with Earth. Part of the reason that we're here is that Earth is advancing a lot of the values that we hold dear. Safety, making sure that people are safe around these underground utilities. Asset resiliency, making sure that people get the services that they're paying for and that they need to live their lives, do their work. Data integrity and quality. What I'm going to do today is really focus pretty heavily on data from the damage information reporting tool, the DIRT report from 2022. My idea and my hope here is that I'll get some of your creative juices flowing a little bit and help you see maybe a broader picture, why the work that you're doing matters so much and how it fits into a national picture. And then lastly, a shared value with Earth is togetherness. It takes us all working together to do the right thing and to get this done. A lot of people talk about it in terms of a three-legged stool or a six-legged stool or whatever it might be. You start taking one of those legs out, the whole thing topples, right? We have to be working together. And that's really what the Common Ground Alliance is designed to do. We represent 16 stakeholder groups. We offer a variety of avenues for these stakeholder groups to come together to resolve their personal concerns about damage prevention and to work with other stakeholder groups that also have concerns about damage prevention. And we have a variety of programs that we use to tackle the problem. And this is an ever-growing list. The one, if I can find the pointer, well, that's no good. The one that I really want to focus on here today is DIRT, the Damage Information Reporting Tool. DIRT is a database, and it is made up of data that is submitted to the Common Ground Alliance by stakeholders in the damage prevention community. They're reporting damages to us, near misses. And we can analyze that data on an annual basis and draw some conclusions about what's happening broadly across the country and where we need to focus our efforts collectively. We've got a variety of other programs. I run this Damage Prevention Institute. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time today on the DPI, but I would love to talk with you about it if you'd be interested in hearing more about what we're doing there. So with that, let me jump into the meat of the presentation. I want to start this by giving you a thought that is quoted here, Sarah Magruder-Lisle. Our ability to advance as an industry depends on our willingness to adapt legacy processes to the demands of modern day damage prevention. Point fingers, right? At our worst, at our best, we like to wrap our arms around each other and work together to try to resolve the problems. But having more data from all stakeholders really does help to tell the true story. Telecom and natural gas remain the most damaged facilities. Now, I also want to just make sure that everyone understands, again, the DIRT data that comes into us is submitted on a voluntary basis. and we don't have every damage that occurred across the United States. So the conclusions that we're drawing here are based on the data that we receive, okay? Again, that's why that first bullet is so important. The more data we can get from stakeholders, the better we can tell the true story. Telecom work caused the most damages. And you know, as we know, there's going to be a lot of money pumped in. There is a lot of money being pumped into telecom work right now from the federal government. Telecom work is causing the most damages according to the DIRT database. It's a real opportunity for us to focus on that stakeholder group. The top 6 root causes are persistent year over year. Every year, these top 6 root causes are the reason we're seeing damages. In fact, 76% of all damages are due to these top 6 root causes. Not calling, not marking, failure to maintain clearance, failure to pothole, and improper excavation. Again and again, those are the top causes. Unfortunately, damages are flat or increasing based on statistical analysis. We work closely with some statisticians to analyze the data that we collect, and the results of those analyses are statistically valid. And unfortunately, we're seeing a flat line or even a slight increase in excavation damages over the prior 3 years. It's troubling. So reversing the upward trend is critical, right? We have to do that. And we have an initiative in place called 50 and 5. We announced that this year. Our goal is to reduce damages by 50% in the next 5 years. So by 2028, we want to reduce damages by 50%. Very tall order. But the way we can accomplish that is by focusing on these top 6 root causes through unprecedented action. Our damage trends. We looked at 3-year trending using comparable data sets. Again, our data comes in on a voluntary basis, and it's impossible to compare apples to apples from one year to the next if you're looking at the entire data set, right? Because it'll be slightly different. So what we did was take comparable data sets from some known suppliers of information, and we pulled out some key metrics. Looking from 21 to 22, we've seen a 9.34% increase in damages over 811 center transmissions. We've seen a 12.35% increase in damages per construction spending. Those numbers are bad. They're going in the wrong direction. We know that $500 billion plus are being allocated to new infrastructure over the next 5 years. That means there's going to be a lot of digging. We know that telecom work is often a big problem. We've got a real challenge here to deal with these numbers, to turn them around. You can see that the damage counts from those consistently reporting organizations have increased over the past 3 years, and here you can see the raw numbers. Top 6 root causes are the same as 2021. We see consistently year over year. Here are our top 6 root causes. No call, facility not marked due to locator error, excavator failed to maintain clearance after verifying the marks, marked inaccurately due to locator error, improper excavation practice not listed elsewhere, an excavator dug prior to verifying marks by potholing. Now, what we do know from a data quality standpoint, Earth's value is certainly data quality, and that is also ours. We need to improve the quality of our data so that we can make better conclusions about what's going on. And we know that some of these catch-all root causes may mask more complex issues at play. So for example, no notification made to the 811 center. That's not really a root cause. It's going to result in a damage. Why was no call made to the 811 center? Why was no click made? To get to those true root causes, to understand human behavior is really our challenge. We know that no call was made in a lot of cases. Why? What's going on? Now, the fact that those top 6 root causes are remaining consistent year over year really gives us a tremendous opportunity to address those root causes. We know what the problem is, so we need to tackle each of these in turn. So you can see here the breakdown, and I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the back very well, but you can see the breakdown of the damages by root cause group. And then you can see a trend here. Excavation practices is rose pretty badly last year and then slightly decreased. We see locating practices now very much on the rise in terms of root causes. It's a big problem. Locating practices are certainly a big problem. And then no locate request is actually declining year over year. So people are calling in more frequently. Locating appears to be a problem. And then invalid use of the request by an excavator, that's actually risen a little bit and then flatlined over the last year. Invalid request might be, not providing the full scope of the excavation area, those kinds of things. Construction work dominates when no notification damages occur. So construction work is really the work type when people aren't calling 811 by a large margin, 26%. And then you can break that down. You can see that construction, 36%, drainage work, 19%. I'm talking of the 26% here. Grading, 15%, driveway, and then on down the list. Water and sewer work is also a major work type that's happening when no notification is made. Landscaping and fencing. When you think about these stakeholder groups, construction and development, we've got wonderful contacts in the excavation world. We know who to talk with. We work closely with them. Water and sewer, we're talking about municipalities and a whole basket of challenges that we have with municipalities, whether it be exemptions in the law, whether it be a funding issue within that municipality, what have you. Landscaping, I was a landscaper at 11 years old. I started digging holes for the widows in my neighborhood, at 11. And I was professional because I got paid. This is a very difficult group to get to, right? But it's a real opportunity for us to focus our communication and outreach. And then fencing, another area where we have some real challenges in communicating with fencing contractors. These can be small contractors to large. Failure to notify the root cause, the failure to notify root cause, we're looking at a detailed view here. In damages where the root cause is failure to notify, the facility damaged is overwhelmingly natural gas at 63%. Now that number can be skewed by who's reporting the data, right? We get really, really good data from natural gas pipeline operators because you're required to submit it to the federal government. You're required to track that stuff. You're heavily regulated. So that can be skewed certainly, but second, most damaged is cable TV when there's no call. The excavator type, when there's no call, contractors, developers, and then homeowners and renters are the second biggest category of folks. Excavation practices, root causes. We have a variety of root causes here. Clearance and potholing represents 59%. So that's failure to maintain clearance, failure to pothole to verify the location of the utility as marked. Improper excavation, 25%, and then support and backfill and maintaining the marks represent a combo of 17%. But you can see the trends here. This is clearance and potholing. You can see that this is an increasingly problematic area. Improper excavation, however, is improving. We're seeing that fewer damages are being caused by improper excavation. Proper use of a hand tool, for example. What angle are you shoving it in the ground, what have you. Supporting shore and backfill is increasing as a problem, and then maintaining marks is actually stable or even slightly decreasing. So here's our opportunity, right? Clearance and potholing. Improper excavation is on the right trend, but it also represents a much higher proportion of the damages, and we really need to focus there too. Maintaining clearance and potholing. Utility work makes up 70% of the work performed when damages occur to failure to maintain clearance and pothole. It's utility work that's really the root cause of some of this. So the facility damaged is most often natural gas, then followed by telecom. We've seen those numbers before. But then the work performed is really important to address here. Water and sewer is the biggest one. Failure to maintain clearance, water and sewer operators, those are going to be your municipalities, your rural water systems. They are the biggest offenders here. Telecom and cable TV, second biggest offenders, and then energy construction, the third biggest. When we think about locating practices root cause, root causes. Locator error is often selected when a more specific root cause is not collected. So what that means is a lot of people that are submitting data into DIRT are saying it's locator error, done. But you can get deeper into that, right? Of course, we can say what locator error was truly the root cause. So for example, some mapping related damages are likely masked by locator error. If you just say the root cause is locator error, but you don't say because of a records error, now we don't have enough information to really make a good decision on how to tackle the true problem. So we see 67% on the locating root causes, we see 67% just listed as locator error. But then not marked or incomplete marks are 14%, maps and records are 10%, tracer wire or unlocatable is 6%, and then abandoned facilities 3%. This big locator error chunk, we believe, really can be dissected better. We can get more granular information with the submission of higher quality data into DIRT. Really focus on those root causes as you collect your data. But as you can see, the trend here, locator error is on the rise. Now, we know that anecdotally that is very true. We also have to understand that a lot of this information is being submitted by excavators, and so you're going to see those different numbers. Locating practices root causes still. Utility work also dominates as work performed when damages occur due to locator error. So it's utility work. And that really gives us an opportunity for facility owners to reduce these incidents, improve your locating. Damaged facilities, overwhelmingly not marked, telecom and cable TV, followed by natural gas. And the work performed, energy work, water, sewer, and telecom. You're seeing the same or similar patterns, right? Invalid use of the locate request. Let's talk about that root cause and how that breaks down. So what we believe and what the report tells us is that this isn't due to a lack of 811 awareness. People know what 811 is, especially professional contractors know what 811 is. We have pushed 811 for years and years and years. We've seen a flat line in who's aware, especially when it comes to like homeowners. I think it's increasing slightly. Contractors overwhelmingly understand what 811 is and what that process is. What we see as the challenge is that it's mistaken or an incomplete understanding of the regulations that are governing the process. So, excavators digging after the valid ticket has expired. Excavators digging outside the original described ticket area. All these are violations, right? But they're opportunities to educate excavators on how these processes work and what is required of them. Excavator provided incorrect identification information. You told them you're going to be digging in the wrong spot, now you're not marked out, you're going to hit something. And the excavator dug before a valid start time date. Now there can be a lot of reasons for these. I would love us to be able to dig into why we see this behavior. You can imagine excavators digging before a valid start time. What's driving that, right? What are some of those drivers? And I think it'd be really interesting to be able to dig into that more. Late locates, I want to hammer this home. This is really a challenge. It's something we have an opportunity to improve. We looked at data from 7 states that have mandatory positive response. As many as 56% of tickets receive late or no positive response, meaning that the work cannot legally start on time. It's breaking the law. These people are following the rules. They're saying, I need this thing located and marked. It doesn't get marked on time. Now it's impacting their business. Telecommunications and water sewer operators have the highest late response rates. Telecommunications work is the most impacted by late responses. So when people are installing or repairing telecom, that's the one that's most impacted by late responses. Some operators or locators mark sites on time but delay updating the positive response system. Just misuse of the system. You're delaying the updates so that now the excavator doesn't know that it's actually been marked out. And then excavators are reporting inaccurate status codes, including those indicating sites are marked when they're not. They're putting in status codes saying, yeah, we marked it out. We were just having a conversation over here. Sandy and I were having a conversation about a lot of excavators receive a note that says, we consulted with the excavator and agreed that the locate will be late when there was no consultation, right? So we need to be cognizant of these challenges, but the real killer here is that based on these 7 states, 56%, over half of the time, people can't start on time because of late locates. It's a real challenge, and it really erodes faith in the 811 system. So how do we get to where we need to go? The path to 50 and 5. Again, 50 and 5, we're looking to reduce damages by 50% over the next 5 years. We're going to have to reverse an established upward trend, right? We're seeing these numbers increase. We've got to reverse that. We've got recommendations in our DIRT report to help you do that. We got to move beyond the catch-all root causes. We have to get more granular with our data. We have to understand why people are making the decisions that they're making. Is it lack of faith in the 811 center? Is it an attempt to simply survive in a system that isn't possibly serving them the way they want to be served? We've got to, project owners really have to invest in potholing. You got to pay for it. If an excavator isn't compensated for potholing, they're not going to do it. It's very likely that they won't do it. And if they're doing a directional drill or whatever they're doing, they're going to hit what's under there because they haven't verified the location of that facility. If the project owner isn't paying for that cost, you could be losing your entire profit margin on 3 or 4 potholes depending on where those are. So you really have to be aware that these project owners, the contracts that are enabling or paying for this excavation work, you've got to build in that cost of safety for potholing. If you put that onto the excavator without true compensation, you really run the risk of them making bad decisions and hitting things. Timely and accurate positive response. Late and inaccurate positive responses undermine the entire damage prevention process. It undermines our faith in the program, and the entire system breaks down. Some additional recommendations for achieving our industry goal, and I promise I'm not going to go too late. We've got to target these top 6 root causes, and this is how we can do that. This is how we specifically can target these root causes. First, we got to collaborate among stakeholder groups. We just have to work together, and that's always been the case. That can happen through regional common ground alliances. That can happen through meetings between companies when you've got a big project getting ready to happen. You can go in and you can talk to a municipality when you know you're going to be installing natural gas in a specific area or telecom in that area. Coordinate with the people that are going to be working with you. The last time you want to meet someone is after a damage has occurred. You're not going to be buddies then. But if something has happened after after you've had a chance to form a healthy relationship, now you can resolve that together, prevent it in the future. We got to restore confidence in the 811 system. It has to work as designed. We have to make sure that when people call, they can have faith that mark out is going to happen. That'll help reduce improper use of the 811 system. We know that excavators shotgun their tickets in the beginning of the week because they just want one site marked out. They're trying to survive a system that fails them 56% of the time. That creates a tremendous burden on the rest of the industry, especially operators and locators. It's no good. So we've got to restore that confidence in the 811 system. We got to prioritize tolerance zone safety. Proper excavation in the tolerance zone is how you prevent these damages. Enhancing facility maps to GIS-grade. This is one that we're pushing on very aggressively. Now, there's lots of consternation about the idea of facility maps being made available to anyone outside of an owner-operator's people, right? There are ways to share facility maps through GIS that don't expose your data at all. You maintain complete control over your information. You're only showing a map of the utilities in a specific dig ticket area, and that map will only live for the life of the ticket, right? When you think about what a markout is, you are drawing a 1-to-1 scale map on the ground of where those utilities are. There ain't no secret there. You're not protecting, company secrets when somebody's putting paint and saying, hey, right here, that's where the pipeline is. So what's the harm in having a ticket that has a picture of those utilities on it? Plus, you've got the opportunity to improve maps and records through some of the feedback loops, through Earth software and the like. So We are really pushing on this. Minnesota 811 has a tremendous project underway to do this, and I would highly encourage you to look at our website. We got a case study out there. It's pretty awesome. We got to allocate sufficient locating and marking resources. Project owners, facility owner and owner-operators, invariably, you talk to the senior leaders in any of these companies and they will say, yes, absolutely, locating is a number one priority to help prevent excavation damage. Does that message reach the procurement department? Is the procurement department saying, we've got to prioritize safety here, we've got to prioritize quality over quantity? No, and a lot of times they're looking for best value contract, cheapest labor. Well, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. You buy a bicycle off of Amazon versus a bicycle in a bicycle shop, you're going to see some real differences in quality. So, allocating those resources, having alignment between senior executives and those procurement departments so that the procurement departments are buying services that will serve the organization will save you time, money, headaches, legal bills, on and on. That boils down to utilizing contract structures for better locating and excavating outcomes. Again, just build contracts. And we have case studies on this as well. You build a solid contract that dictates good performance, you'll get good performance. If every company, if every owner-operator can do that, we're going to see that 50% reduction, I think, fairly easily. I think contract structures are perhaps the biggest and most important component of reducing excavation damage across the board, that 50 and 5. And then lastly, something that is near and dear to all of us, we got to ensure effective enforcement of damage prevention laws and regulations. And some states do it quite well, some states don't. The states that do it very well see lower damage rates. The states that don't see higher damage rates. There has to be a cop on the road. If there isn't a cop on the road, everybody's speeding. Now everybody's less safe. There has to be someone who's there as a backstop for egregious behavior. The future, we've got several initiatives underway. The Damage Prevention Institute is what I run, and this is a system of collecting data on a monthly basis from accredited participants. We're bringing in facility owners, we're bringing in excavators, locators, engineers, and ultimately 811 centers. The whole idea here is that you get accredited as a safe operator in this space. It's not a certification, it's not a way for you necessarily to select vendors. This is about saying, making a commitment out loud for everyone to see that we are going to follow best practices. We commit as a company to doing the right thing with regard to damage prevention, and we're going to prove it by submitting our data into DIRT on a monthly basis. We're also going to prove it by submitting data that helps everyone see performance through some key performance indicators, right? So for locators, it's going to be on-time performance, right? It's going to be accurate and on-time performance. For facility owner-operators, it's going to be how quickly are you able to get maps into the hands of the people that need them to do an accurate locate and mark out and a safe excavation. And for excavators, it's going to be how much are you hitting stuff, and how often are you doing it based on how many people you have in the field. We have a real opportunity to look at additional key performance indicators. We have a real opportunity here to create some transparency in how everyone is working. And it'll take a commitment on the part of facility owner operators to saying, yeah, I want to prove out that I'm doing the right thing. I'm not ashamed of my performance. I'm also not ashamed to demonstrate that I've made some mistakes that I need to improve on. And the same will be true of their contractors, whether they be locators or excavators. If you want to talk more about DIRT, please let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you at any time. I'll be here for the whole meeting. And then one of the things that we're focused on now is creating a U.S. Damage Prevention Index. We want to be able to understand how we're really doing. And the idea here is much like the S&P 500 or any other index that you might see in the stock market, NASDAQ, what have you. The market is influenced by the performance of these individual companies in that index. And we are thinking of, what do we call it? The Damage Prevention 10 or the Damage Prevention 15. And we look at their performance. We get their commitment to reporting to us damages on a regular basis so that we can benchmark and truly measure performance over time with some confidence that we're doing the right thing. That will help us measure 50 and 5, how well are we doing? And I think it'll create some confidence in the industry that we're using data that really does represent the true picture in the world. I'll leave you with this thought from the DIRT report. Commit to unprecedented coordination and flexibility within organizations and across stakeholder groups to generate new solutions to systemic issues. Please visit dirt.commongroundalliance.com if you'd like to delve into this year's report. We have a fantastic dashboard out there that you can play with. You can chop up the numbers by state. You can look at all kinds of different charts and graphs that I wasn't able to present today. There's more to uncover, and we all have our own interests in this, and we'll be happy to support you in working through that system if you'd like. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions, or if you want to shut me down so that we can go eat, I understand that too.